¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome to the Monday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Monday morning. How's it going, everybody? Welcome. Happy Monday from a damp gray London at 63? Oh, sorry, hold on, folks. I'm still, There we go. How's it going, Mayhem Hippie? How's it going, Mr. Howdy, everybody? Morning. Lee Spanner, howdy. Sorry, my friend, not on good form today. What does that mean? The stock market's opened on the upside. Yeah, I mean, goes up and down like a roller coaster, yeah? It's all depending on how people are feeling it's all dependent on how people are feeling.
Back in 2014, a Dutch firm called Switch Data Centers.
Hold on, folks. I'm still getting paid by stocks. They're all dividend payments. Yeah, that's how it works, right? That's usually how it works, I should say. Talk about free money. I need that money. I am retired and do not work. That's your retirement, fam. Along with Social Security. Yep. Nothing, including money, is free. Someone's paying. Well, yeah, no, meaning that, meaning that you get stipends. Essentially, that's what it is. All right, folks, we've got a few things to go through today. Unfortunately, we started off a little bit later than I had anticipated. Today I had to go to the tag office and get my license tag plate thingy in order. I got a temporary one. Oh, I actually mean in the big picture sense. Yeah, that's true. Nothing in life is free, folks. Stream elements is... What? Oh, there we go. Never mind. We're good. Alright, folks, we do have a few things to go through. So I do apologize for the late start, but we gotta get this train on the road. Global economy faces its biggest test since WW2. Yeah, folks. I would say that it wouldn't be exactly out of order to say that we should probably expect some kind of some kind of thing to go down. Capitalism does as capitalism does. Eventually, the bust cycle of the perpetual boom bust will come around, and when it does, it's gonna be it's gonna be pretty bad. I think, especially like with a lot of exacerbating factors, not to mention the conflict that's going on in Ukraine has been not exactly optimal timing, especially coming off the economic problems that the pandemic brought. So that still hasn't gone away. And we've also got climate change around the corner too. So all of it is pointing to a not so good direction, to say the least. The UK took over 40 years to recover from WW2. Yeah, this one might be a little bit worse, I think. I'm not sure. There's a lot of... This is a whole other ball game. I mean, like, WW2 was a cataclysmic event. But we've got a lot of compounding factors that are going into this, right? We've got the pandemic that's heading on... we've got a conflict that's on the back of a pandemic, which we still haven't even quite recovered yet. And then, based on where we're going, we've got the problem, just this little tiny problem of climate change around the corner too, which is going to cause a massive problem economically. And then, I don't know. I don't know what oh yes, and then Trump calls her a civil war and truth social. Yeah. Global economy faces its biggest test since WW2. The global economy is being brought to the edge of a precipice by crisis upon crisis, right? It's not just like the one thing, it's the compounding factors that we're dealing with. As the first World Economic Forum to be held in person since 2020 opened in Davos, Switzerland on Monday, the IMF said that the economy faces perhaps its biggest test since Second World War. We face a potential confluence of calamities. Listen, I'm not one to exactly, be 100%, behind the IMF as they've done and continue to do shady stuff. But in this situation, I think the assessment is correct. Seriously, no more. Let it die with Dude, Where's My Car? Fun fact, I have yet to see that movie either. Fun fact, never seen it. She warned that Russia's invasion of Ukraine has compounded the effects of the COVID. Oh yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. Yeah. That's actually exactly what I was saying. Weighing on the economic recovery and fanning inflation as the cost of food and fuel jumps. Rising interest rates are adding to the pressure on countries, companies, and households with big piles of debt. Market turbulence and ongoing supply chain constraints also pose a risk. And then there's climate change. Yeah, all of this is essentially what I was just talking about. And then, I wish I knew the reference, alright? All I know is that Mayhem Hippie explained to me that this is from Dude, Where's My Car? How's it going? Spread it forward. Check out Cheerpurse, No Way Out. Alright, someone, Mr. posted this. We'll take a look at it. It's from a blog, website, news, journal, sheerpost.com. Howdy, howdy. I'll just post it here. Okay. The head of the International Energy Agency urged countries to make the right investment choices in response to the fossil fuel shortages triggered by Russia's attack on Ukraine. To make the right investment choices, I think like the right investment choices would be to just simply nationalize the fossil fuel industry and then start moving in the direction of renewables wherever possible. But that's just me. Why can't I see your post? Oh no, is Stream Elements not working right? I have to actually go to Twitch to see your comment. Alright. Let me close the chat and refresh. Alright, chat. Let's see. Before I forget, go to Epic Games and download Borderlands for free before the 26th. I've got 3 days so we can possibly play together in sometime and chat, and a chat PSA. Cool. Oh, there we go. I see it now. Since we're moving towards a post-apocalyptic future, might as well get ready now. True, that's actually how I get all my information for a post-apocalyptic world. I usually just go to Fallout, and The Walking Dead is usually my manual, my instruction manual for a post-apocalyptic future. Fu Manchu, howdy howdy. I like Tank Girl for that. I've seen so many posts about Tank Girl, but I've never actually seen an episode. How's the arm? It's, well, it's more mobile, that's for sure. I can, like, stretch it out, more than I have in these last weeks. I've been able to, like, stretch it out. I can more or less do, more or less do functions. I've got more grip strength than I have in the last couple of weeks. So I have much more grip strength. So it's coming along. It's coming along more. I just have to go through this for a couple of more weeks, I think. Actually, I gotta check my schedule next week, maybe. Actually, we're almost there, folks. We're almost there. As soon as the doctor clears me, I'll feel much better. I'll feel much more comfortable. But thanks for asking. I appreciate that. I found 2 interesting links today on Twitter that predicted inflation and baby formula shortages. All right, let's check it out. Never heard of Tank Girl? I've seen it before. I've seen pictures of Tank Girl. Stop asking me to subscribe, alright? I'm not gonna give you money. These ads are insufferable. Jesus. Alright. Stop. Trump tariffs will soon cost U.S. families thousands of dollars a year. Tariffs are taxes that harm the average consumer. True. This is particularly true with tariffs Donald Trump has levied on imports from China. The ever-escalating tariffs on Chinese goods are producing increased costs for American consumers on an annual basis. When adding tariffs in effect and tariffs that set off to go into effect by the end of 2019, the cost of the tariffs to consumers will be about $259.2 billion with a B. That is, tariffs will cost the average household $2,031 per year and will be reoccurring so long as the tariffs stay in effect. Yikes. Huh. This means the price of shoes, cell phones, clothes for children, and many other items will be higher. Huh. That's interesting. So are you saying a lot of these problems with inflation have to do with, like, ripple effects from tariffs? Is that an anime? Yes. It is all water supply disruption and evil companies. Yep. I think that what their argument is, basically the single biggest thing we could do to curb inflation is get rid of Trump-era tariffs. Wait, those things are still going on? Huh. And the disastrous NAFTA trade deal. Yikes. Folks, this was from 2018. This was from 2018. So basically, I think that the argument being presented is that because of Trump's disastrous policies regarding tariffs and the NAFTA renegotiations and stuff like that, well, here we are feeling that effect, which I've understood that a lot of policies that presidents put forth usually don't get seen until sometimes years afterwards. And here we are. After a comet disrupts the rain cycle of the Earth, the planet has become a desolate, barren desert by the year of 2033. Oh, that's not too far off, folks. That's not too far off. 2033. The planet is all, a wasteland. Yeah, sounds about, plausible now. Head of the powerful, evil, and Water and Power Corporation, the de facto government, has taken control of the water supply and willing to cower under Cassidy's tyrannical rule. A pair of outlaws known as Tank Girl and Jet Girl rise up, joining the mysterious rebel Rippers to destroy the corrupt system. Nice. Alio, how's it going? I thought the Trump tariffs were already on your imports. They're still in effect as far as I understand it right now. There was a live action in 1995, but it was an anime and a comic. I need to watch the movie. Get ready for your taxes to go up too. Trump tax cuts and not for non-wealthy people. And Trump tax cuts end for non-wealthy people either this year or next. I think you're right, Fu Manchu. I think you're right. Gotta make more money or risk having higher taxes. Explain that. There's no... I can't. You can't square that circle other than, other than, F the poors, basically. Mayhem Hippie, 100 biddies. Thank you. What's this? Oh, wait. I thought this was a meme. I unironically thought somebody was joking. Oh, this was a retweet. Okay, well, in Truth Social it's called Retruthed. Oh my god. This is such a this is so cringe. Instead of retweeting, you retruth. Oh my god. War Criminal Gaming, thank you for the follow. There are plenty of people here in the UK who are going under with the cost of living. You gotta bootstraps harder, my friends. Stop living out of your means. That is the post about Trump calling for civil war. No, I was not joking. I thought it was a meme. I wasn't even kidding. I was not even kidding. I thought it was a genuine meme that you were riffing off the reference to Dude, Where's My Car? I legitimately thought you were just riffing off of that. So what are we talking about? A lot of different things. We're kind of we're kind of going through a couple of different articles. We got to stop simping for capitalism at every corner. We got to explain that capitalism is destroying everything, criticize it out of existence. I mean, like, definitely a compounding factor is the fact that we've got, for some strange reason, this inability to take a step back and think like, wait, is it possible? Is it possible that maybe we're doing things wrong? Is it possible that maybe we're running a system that's just a tad bit exploitative when we've got basic necessities being paywalled essentially? Do you think that that's maybe a problematic system to look at a person and say, you know what? I don't know if you really need a roof over your head, or I don't know, man. Can you afford to eat? Like, are those questions that we really should be asking ourselves? And if you think that that's an okay system, I have to ask, well, why? People taking food from food banks are refusing fresh vegetables due to cooking costs and now turning off fridges as they can't afford the electricity. Yeah, because it costs money. Because it costs money. Trump really is an arrogant, pompous idiot. I think the word is, I mean, yes, all of these are true, but the word is dangerous. The word is dangerous. Right, so yeah, exactly, Astro. So, like, imagine not being able to take food from food banks because you can't afford the electricity to cook it. And like, if you think that this is normal, if you think that it is normal for us to like really unironically sit down and then be like, you know what? If a person can't afford to eat, then they can't afford to eat. And then what? I mean, Jesus. Oh, 100%. That whole idea that presidents nowadays need some type of pension and secret service for life, it's just ludicrous nowadays. That's old, outdated, antiquated, and expensive. You want to talk about bloated government budget? Anyways, so Fu Manchu's point was that Trump's disastrous policies, due to tariffs and due to disastrous trade deals, are quite possibly a significant factor as to why we are in the position that we are, or at least an exacerbating factor, for sure. The head of the International Energy Agency urged countries to make the right investment choices in response to fossil fuel shortages triggered by Russia's attack on Ukraine. Some people may well use Russia's invasion of Ukraine as an excuse for a new wave of fossil fuel investment. Not may, are. I think the word is are using Russia's invasion of Ukraine as an excuse for a new wave of fossil fuel investments, which I'm sure that's being lobbied into existence by the fossil fuel, industry, because obviously they want to take advantage of this. Our Sunday Times rich list has shown the rich to poor gap is getting bigger. Oh yeah, absolutely, 1,000%. 1,000%. We are looking at like some unbelievable gaps, wealth inequality gaps. It's just unreal, unsustainable, and not a good system. Not a good system. It's not even economically sound. It's not sustainable. You can't keep going when you have like people like Elon Musk or Bill Gates or all these billionaire oligarchs continuing to get richer and richer and richer and richer and richer. This is an unsustainable system. Honestly, is anyone here actually expecting things to get better without a major event or revolution? Probably, I don't know. I don't even know if, because the flip side of that is things get actually way worse. The flip side of that coin is, Jesus. The flip side of that coin is it just keeps getting worse. The joke is the fossil fuel industry is even now proudly telling us that they're making record profits. Yeah, at the small expense of, us. The flip side of that is a cataclysmic event such as climate change really starts kicking off, and then like we go the exact opposite way where like it becomes a more totalitarian state. Some people are using Russia's invasion of Ukraine as an excuse for a new wave of fossil fuel investments. IEA chief Fatih Birol said during a discussion in Davos, "It will forever close the door to reaching our climate targets." I agree. The scale of the economic challenge was underscored by a new report from the OECD on Monday showing that the combined GDP of the G7 countries shrank by 0.1% of the first quarter. Wait, is this like still like a good, like relevant metric or what? We cannot solve the problems if we only focus on one of the problems, German economy minister Robert Habeck said. If none of these problems are solved, I fear we'll see a global recession with huge implications not only for the climate but for climate protection, but for global stability. To limit economic stress, the IMF is calling for government officials and business leaders meeting in Davos to discuss lowering trade barriers. But as countries battle growing dismay about the cost of living crisis at home, some are heading in the opposite direction, implementing restrictions on trade in food and agriculture products that can exacerbate shortages and push up prices globally. Right, I was going to say, India decided to ban the export of wheat, sent the price of grain soaring, even though it's a relatively small exporter. Indonesia banned most exports of palm oil to protect domestic supplies, but will lift the ban this week. Well, what worries me is because what if there was a cataclysmic event such as this, such as climate change, or such as a serious global economic crash, right? And what if, because if we take a little page from history. Part of the reason why totalitarian fascist states came into power was the incompetence of essentially the incompetence and corruption of the liberal governments. They couldn't get it together. There was a massive economic crash. And then, well, instead of saying, well, maybe we should reevaluate how we do things, a totalitarian regime came in and said, nope, we'll solve this problem right now. That's the scary part, spread it forward. What if it goes the other way? The same people who fought the idea while their country was on fire, yeah, they're probably saying something now because a business deal was made. Yep. The only bright news is that the Australian government is turning more green and say they will fight climate change. Yeah, I mean, if that is true, that is good. It's just hard to trust, government officials when it comes to climate change. It's just very hard. But, Speaking during a visit to Tokyo, President Joe Biden said on Monday that a recession was not inevitable, and he reiterated that the White House was considering removing some What? Now considering? Bro, that should have been one of the easiest things to do. You didn't even have to make that much effort. You didn't even have to make that much effort to remove these Trump-era tariffs that Fu Manchu actually brought up on Chinese goods, which Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has said do more harm than good for American consumers and businesses. So then take them off. Wait. Jesus. Okay. Jason Furman, who previously served as Barack Obama's top economic advisor, told CNN Business that the U.S. is in the least bad shape of any economy in the world. Well, I mean, for who? Consumers are worried about inflation, but they still have a big pot of savings. What? And spending remains strong. I think that part is true for some reason. He thinks the recession climbs in 2023. He thinks the risk of recession climbs in 2023 as the Federal Reserve hikes interest rates to curb inflation. I'm worried about the recession risk about 1 year and further into the future. He said on sidelines at the Davos Forum, I think the Fed should be trying for a soft landing. I don't know if they'll succeed. I don't know that they'll succeed. Meanwhile, China could see its economy shrink this quarter because of the impact of COVID lockdowns in Shanghai, Beijing, and dozens of other cities, and the fallout of a real estate crisis. The country's central bank delivered its biggest cut on record on Friday to a key interest rate after housing sales collapsed. Sheesh. Zhu Ning, a professor at the Shanghai Advanced Institute of Finance, said he believed the authorities will have ample options of tackling the series of challenges facing the world's second biggest economy. China still has a lot of room if it wants to lower interest rates to give monetary stimulus to the economy. The problem is you'll look like a revolutionary until it's too late. Then it's a problem I'm sure all revolutionaries considered before committing to the cause. Well, yeah, I mean, my only fear, like I said, is will it deliver the results that you think it will? And then, my follow-up question is, well, what if it goes the opposite way? What if it goes the opposite way and we all get clapped? Jesus. Anyways, the TLDR is, well, brace yourselves, folks. The next couple of years, decade, are going to be very significant, to say the least. For a number of different reasons. And unfortunately, it doesn't look good. The fact that you've got, like, the biggest forces of the people who are the most involved when it comes to, like, world economics are already admitting that climate change is a massive factor, so much so that they needed to make a note of it in that article is not good. Is not good. All right, let's take a look at this. Oh, Lord. Donald Trump's Civil War post sparks backlash beyond dangerous. Donald Trump has been widely criticized for sharing a Truth Social post that read Civil War. The former president set up the social media site after he was banned from mainstream platforms in the wake of the January 6th attack over fears that he would incite further violence. A Civil War comment written by MAGA King Thanos. Okay. Was in response to a screenshot shared of a March 20th tweet by El Salvador's president, Nayib Bukele, which was shared by former CBS News correspondent turned white-ring conspiracy theorist Lara Logan. In the tweet, Bukele wrote, "The most powerful country in the world is falling so fast that it makes you rethink what are the real reasons. Something so big and powerful can't be destroyed so quickly unless the enemy comes from within." Jesus Christ, what kind of, like, conspiratorial nonsense is this? This is the president of El Salvador. Well, therein lies another piece of the problem. Spread it forward. We're all stuck here in a hamster wheel, in a perpetual hamster wheel, because everything for you to live costs money. And it's meant to trap you. Which is why I call it a perpetual hamster wheel, right? Because you just keep spinning and spinning and spinning in that hamster wheel, and yeah, you can't eat, you can't have a roof over your head. God forbid, healthcare. Who's gonna pay the bills? You gotta put food on the table. Do you want to eat? To which, to circle back to my original comment, if you think that this is a normal and healthy way of thinking, that this is just like, you know what, this is just the way things are, yeah, you might wanna have some introspection there. That's right, there's only so much daylight, so much free time to dedicate to researching, developing, discovering, so on and so forth, and of course, collectivizing, and trying to attempt to talk to one another to solve issues. Yes, I agree. Did you see the G Word on Netflix? What is the G Word? What is that? Is that like a documentary? Bukele's tweet cited a Bloomberg op-ed headlined "Inflation stinks most if you earn less than 300K." Ah, yes. Yes, the majority of the population making more than 300K. Here's how to deal. What? In response to tweets repost, the anti-Trump political group Midas Touch tweeted, "The disgraced twice impeached former president just shared a post from another user calling for civil war. This is beyond dangerous." I do think that, like, absolutely. Listen, bro. This guy keeps pushing it. This guy keeps pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. This is some stochastic terrorism shit. It is a mini series on American government with Obama. No, I have not. I have not seen it, but you know, I've got like 10,000 things on my list. I do think it's dangerous that he's like retweeting essentially. I'm not saying retruthing because that's just so weird. Anyways, what he did was signal boost this idea of civil war. And it's like this is dangerous. This is dangerous. Al Gore has been on stage again at the climate change conference. I don't know why. I don't know why. Illinois Representative Adam Kinzinger, one of the most vocal critics of the former president in the GOP, also condemned Trump for appearing to advocate for civil war. I don't know if he's like directly, but like he's highlighting, he's signal boosting a message calling for civil war. And it just keeps happening. It just keeps happening. No repercussions, no consequences, nothing. No accountability. Nothing. Democratic California Congressman Eric Swalwell said Donald Trump is calling for civil war. He's highlighting a message that is calling for civil war, yes. Of course, like Vietnam and the walk to the insurrection, he won't be a man enough to fight it. He doesn't have to. All Donald Trump is, just like the rest, like Tucker Carlson and all these other folks, they're literally, all they do is fill the area of gasoline. They fill the area of gasoline and tinder, and then they casually leave a box of matches at the door, and then get on their platform, whether it be cable news, which Tucker is still on for some reason, or social media, or wherever it is that they're on, to speak to their millions of supporters. And then they just get up there and talk about how fire is so cool, you know? And then, surprise Pikachu face, somebody finds the box of matches and lights the whole thing on fire. That's literally what these folks do. That's literally what these folks do. They Tinder, and gasoline. And then just casually leave a box of matches, walk away, because they'll never do anything themselves. They're a bunch of spineless cowards. They just walk away and then get on their platform or bullhorn and start talking about how cool fire is. That's literally what it is. Right, exactly, Mayhem Hippie. Just whistling with a box of matches or making a whole bunch of advertising that has fire behind it. Or talk about, matches. And then get surprised Pikachu face when somebody picks it up and actually lights the damn thing. If January 6th investigations landed hard on Trump, a lot of his crazy stuff would get damped down. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. In a just world, you would like to see some accountability, but it would be nice to see some type of accountability, but I don't think it's gonna happen, Astra. I still think the investigations and needs to continue just so that we can have a concentrated, concise record of exactly what happened and who is involved, how they were involved. I think that's important. But I don't know if any legitimate accountability will come for people like Trump. I just don't see it. It's only okay if I'm a racist piece of crap. I'll actually be prosecuted because I'm on the other side. George Conway, a lawyer and another frequent Trump critic who's also married to former White House counselor Kellyanne Conway, said nothing to see here, just a former president sharing a social media post advocating or predicting. Well, no, he's not advocating or predicting anything. He's just casually signal boosting a call for civil war, which is exactly because the thing that triggers me is that I know what's going to happen is well, he actually didn't say. No, he didn't. He never actually says anything. It's all stochastic. You know what I mean? He didn't say go do an insurrection. He just kept calling the election fraudulent and saying that, I don't know, man. I think you're going to have to fight for your country. Fight hard. Save America or whatever his slogan was. Show up on January 6th and be wild. He never actually uses the words. Another journalist and attorney, Seth Abramson, described Trump's actions on social media as the most seditious step ever taken by a U.S. president. Every American who loves this country needs to condemn Trump for this. There's no room for half measures. Every GOP elected official in America needs to be on record condemning Trump in the strongest possible terms. Lol. None of that's gonna happen. None of that's gonna happen. Right, sorry. It will be wild. It will be wild, and so it was. He didn't say go do an insurrection. I just don't see it how it's fair that these horrid people can literally terrorize most of the country and corrupt the government with their awful church, but yet I'm demonized for standing up for my country and constitution the way it was meant to be. Yeah, funny how that works, right? And remember, this is the same people who always claim to be about freedom and small government and all this other stuff, and they want to take your freedoms away and all this. Yeah, it always feels like it's always the opposite, right? Just proving my point, Mayhem. Oh, send it to me, Astra. Yeah, trial by combat. Abrahamson also asked whether Trump resharing Truth's social post bolsters the already strong case that Trump should be disqualified for running for president in 2024 under the 14th Amendment. While referring to SpaceX and Tesla, CEO Elon Musk's confirmation that he would allow Trump back on Twitter if the billionaire buys social media site. David Weissman, a U.S. Army veteran, known for no longer supporting Trump, tweeted, Elon Musk, did you see Trump supporting a call for civil war? Are you sure you want that on the site if your deal follows through? Oh yeah, Elon Musk doesn't care. He doesn't give a shit about any of this. The civil war fervor arrived as Trump is already being criticized for pushing baseless claims that Pennsylvania GOP Senate primaries rigged Yeah, no, this guy's dangerous. You know what? F this guy. Jesus, I think someone's having a... Are you okay? I mean, like, it looks like you're using words, but... My dog died last night. Jesus. Jesus. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Even Republicans are backing away from Trump. I don't think so. I think he is the GOP. I don't think so. I think he is the GOP. Well, this is 10 minutes. We can try to go through this. Anyways, Donald Trump signal boosting. Well, Jesus. I wonder if Tim Pool's gonna make another video about this. I wonder if Tim Pool's gonna make a video condemning this. Howdy, howdy. Majority of Republicans are not backing, but the few that are with Trump are still Republican, just trying to make their own way with the Republican Party. Nah, the Republican Party overwhelmingly supported Trump. The Republican electorate overwhelmingly supports Donald Trump. You're just wrong. The overwhelming GOP supports Donald Trump. I mean, like, don't let people like Liz Cheney fool you. She, even as a detractor, she voted in support of his agenda over 90%. Yeah, Democrats are split. Oh, you said the majority. Yeah, I think you're right. Democrats are like split into multiple cliques. I think there's like basically two factions of the Democratic Party, essentially. Well, I believe in democracy, so fuck emperors. I think you got the old school clique. The squad? Yeah, 10? I don't know how many are, I don't know how many are in the squad. Then you got a newer generation. What? A newer? Really? I don't know. It just feels like there's basically two kind of wings. There just seems to be like two wings. I think so. I don't know. It's just what I see in my perception. That's just my perception. It just seems like there's always a fight between the progressive like progressive wing and like the corporate wing. I don't know if that's a good if that's good, a good label or a good way of describing it, but that's how I always feel. That the power, the struggle is between like the progressive wing and the more like status quo wing. All right, listen, buddy, you're gonna have to take a break, my friend. Fuck Elon, fuck Trump. I thought the squad considered themselves socialist. Not even. Not even. I've never heard a squad member uh I've never heard a squad member outright say that they're just socialist. They were all supported for Bernie. Yeah, but that doesn't make them socialist. That doesn't make them socialist. The Green New Deal doesn't make it socialist either. Pushing for a Green New Deal isn't socialism. Wait. AOC might consider herself one, but even then, her voting record doesn't support the claim that she is one. And healthcare for all, do you think that universal healthcare is a socialist concept? Wait, I'm sorry. Where do you live? Like, country-wise? Do you think that Europe is socialist? Wait, do you think that, like, okay, the concept of a universal healthcare system is left-wing, but it is not a core tenet of socialism, or does it it doesn't require socialism? If you live in Europe, do you think Europe is a socialist country? Did you forget I was from Chicago? Yes, I did. Actually, I don't remember you saying that. I never asked you, so that's my fault. That's my fault. Yeah, so Europe is not socialist. Just that Europe has very much capitalistic markets and all that, all right? It does not, free healthcare or universal healthcare systems are not dependent on whether or not you did a socialism. If that makes sense. Having universal healthcare system, having like a universal like college or anything like that is completely independent of, or not it's not a required tenet of socialism. No, I'm trying to make the analogy that if you think that Europe having, or any country, doesn't have to be Europe, Costa Rica having a universal healthcare system and thinking that they are socialist because they have a universal healthcare system, that is not a socialism. Right. Socialism just means the workers own the means of production. It has other ripple effects, but that is the core of socialism. If the workers don't own the means of production, it's probably ain't socialism. Yes. Yes, so that's my point. My point being is that having or advocating for a universal healthcare system is independent of that. It may be a ripple effect, and surely because of left-wing movements, you get things like universal healthcare systems, better worker labor protections, and all of that stuff. But it is not dependent. These two. What is it? It's like a just because it correlates with left-wing ideology does not make it so. Does not make it socialist. That's just the base core of the ideology. Nah, I don't know. I think Fu Man is basically on point. Socialism just means that the workers themselves own the means of production. That is literally the core of socialism. European economies are complicated, many parties to vote for, especially compared to America. Yes, but the economic system is highly capitalistic. Is my argument. You could have universal healthcare system here, now. Does not mean that we become a socialist country. You can technically have a socialist state without universal healthcare, but most people who support socialism also support universal healthcare. Yeah, because it makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, so exactly. So these things are not intertwined or necessary. All right. We gotta move. We gotta get moving.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Al. Thank you so much for being here. Well, so just as I mentioned, you gave a rousing talk at Climate Countdown last fall about all of the things that we need to do to transform transform climate change and to turn things around here.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the classic, Alio. That's the classic. Just call everything that you don't like socialism and it works. Are we doing the leftists argue about what socialism thing is? No, I'm trying to make an argument that basically, like, I don't consider necessarily like the what people call the squad or like the more progressive wing. I don't think they're like completely socialist. I mean, certainly they're more left leaning than the status quo Democrats, but I don't think that they're socialist. The closest one was Fu Manchu, he pointed out, was like AOC, but I don't know. I haven't seen like a legitimate call for the workers seizing the means of production or giving the means of production to the workers from any Democratic candidate. Like, I don't think that's a thing.
What would you say is the state of play with climate action now 6 months later?
Well, thanks in part to many of the people that are part of the TED community, we've seen tremendous progress in the development of affordable, cheap solar electricity, wind electricity, electric vehicles, batteries, regenerative agriculture, green hydrogen is coming along, sustainable forestry. But unfortunately, the crisis is getting much worse, much faster than predicted, and it is getting worse at a rate faster than the rate at which we're deploying these solutions. We have everything we need, save sufficient political will. It's been that way for a while. And just since the Glasgow conference, we have seen a lot of backsliding. And we've seen financial institutions, banks and large investors pumping more and more and more money into more and more fossil fuels.
I mean, so far he's actually correct.
It is quite literally insane. Today, we will put another 162 million tons into the thin shell of atmosphere surrounding the planet. And the accumulated amount now traps as much extra heat as would be released by 600,000 Hiroshima-class atomic bombs exploding every 24 hours. Just, 95 miles northeast of here, in Lytton, British Columbia, it reached 121.3 degrees less than a year ago, 49.6 Celsius. More than 80 all-time high-temperature records were broken here in British Columbia just in less than a year.
Oh, yeah. James Napper. I was just trying to make the point that, having a solid safety net up to and including universal healthcare does not mean or is not relevant to the word socialist or the what makes up socialism has nothing that is determined by whether or not you have universal healthcare.
Year ago. One day later, by the way, the entire town burned up. Yesterday, massive death in the Philippines from another superstorm fueled by the climate crisis.
Now, James loves to just drop some like massive amounts of like resources. So yeah, James always has some good stuff. Turns out my mandatory vasectomy bill for all males until they qualify for personal responsibility rights is deeply unpopular among the right wing. Apparently, it's crossing bodily autonomy lines for them. Really? I would have never guessed.
Chile just yesterday declared a drought emergency. But we are seeing the development of the solutions. Unfortunately, the financial interests of fossil fuel companies have captured the policymaking process in key countries and have intentionally zombified as many people as they can around the world with false messaging that they knew was false. They knew it, it's been proven to a fairly well. And as a consequence, our political decision-making process in key countries is locked, paralyzed. So the political will necessary to break through this has to be expressed in a much more effective way. We are nearing a political event horizon. And in the United States, JP Morgan Chase, Citi, Wells Fargo, others, Bank of America, Royal Bank of Canada here, several banks in Canada joined the Net Zero Banking Alliance, and then last year they doubled the amount of money pumped into the tar sands, which is the dirtiest form of fossil fuels. You know, when junkies can't use the veins in their arms and legs anymore, they shoot between their toes. That's what the tar sands is like.
Jesus.
So I want to say,
Was there a better... Jesus Christ. Was there maybe a better way of explaining that? Was that really necessary?
that this is a moment when we have to rise to this occasion. Abraham Lincoln said the occasion is piled with difficulty, piled high with difficulty, and we have to rise with the occasion. As our case is new, we must think anew and act anew. We have to find ways to solve the democracy crisis in order to solve the climate crisis.
Well, you know, I think with the war in Ukraine, we're now seeing the question of energy security being brought center stage, and I'm curious what you think that will do in terms of accelerating or decelerating the transition, the energy transition.
Yeah, well, this should be a moment of global epiphany.
It should be, but it's like he's saying everything but the root of the problem, right? I mean, like he made like a touch like on political will and all this other stuff with the over investing in fossil fuels, but like the problem is if you understand that, you know, obviously we're being pushed into a catastrophe, ask yourself how we got here. You know, it's not by a magic, it's not by an ephemeral thing that how we got here. It's clearly the unsatiated necessity of profit above anything. Above literally anything. My partner got a willing vasectomy after I could no longer be on birth control due to my age. It was our choice. Hey, how cool is that? Imagine having a choice and self-determination. Damn.
This is a fossil fuel war, as many have said. And the timidity of some European countries, understandably because they are so dependent on Russian
and us
gas and oil, is another consequence of our dependence. And then we see this horrible scene where the United States goes begging other petrostates like Saudi Arabia and Venezuela and Iran to pump up more and more fossil fuels. We should see this as a threat to national security and global security. It is a threat to disadvantaged communities.
I think that could be interpreted to mean socialism. You think so?
9 million people every year. A large multiple of the number of people killed by COVID are killed annually by the particulate pollution that comes from fossil fuels. We can save money. We can fight inflation, by the way. The sustainability revolution, including renewable energy, is massively deflationary. The cost continues to go down. There are multiple reasons why we should see this as a moment of decision to make a big change and get off of fossil fuels. We can't keep pumping more and more money in pursuit of short-term profit in activities that are destroying the future.
Yes, I agree. I agree with this assessment. I think that it just doesn't make any sense. It is not sustainable. It is not sound in any way, shape, or form. We are literally harming people. We are harming and destroying entire swaths of the planet just to make a profit. That's literally it. It's interesting though, because I don't think democratization is a guarantee of reducing inequality or having good policy. Take Denmark, a nation that performed to the peak of democracy grading, yet it has increased inequality, has higher Gini score than authoritarian Belarus, and has a very strong undercurrent of anti-immigration. It's mainstream politics. Yeah, that's true. I would argue then, but democracy allows more chances for better outcomes, even if that's not always the case. Do I need to apologize for being this video? No.
Future of humanity. This is not a time for moral cowardice.
True.
This is not a time for surrender and reckless indifference to the fate of humanity.
I think that's true.
Well, I mean, I think in thinking about this being a time for change, the IPCC recently put out a report where they said that if we do want to make come around the bend, that we have until 2025 to see CO2 levels peak. I mean, that's just 3 years from now. How realistic do you think that actually is?
Well, actually, what they said, it needs to peak between 2020 and no later than 2025. Yes. First, let me share some good news from that dire IPCC report. They also said, if we reach net zero, true net zero, then the temperatures on our planet will stop going up with a lag of as little as 3 to 5 years.
True
and if
net
we
zero,
stay
though.
at net zero, half of the human-caused CO2 in the atmosphere will fall out of the atmosphere in as little as 25 to 30 years. We have the technologies, we have the solutions, we have the ability to stop this progression.
That's true. We do have the technology and tools that we need. We already have them. The problem is having the political will to deploy them. You think it would be better outcomes or better choices? I think that democracy, generally speaking, has chances for better outcomes.
Aggressive destruction of the future of humanity and start the long healing process. But we have to break through the capture of our political systems. They say boycotts don't work. Should we boycott all of these banks and all of these financial institutions? Climate scientists, some of them announced last week and started doing this, gluing themselves to the doors, to the gates of these fossil fuels facilities. If climate scientists have reached the conclusion that more facts and more data and more research is of absolutely no good unless we, the people, can find the means to break through the imprisonment of our self-determination on the part of large, massive polluters who are just looking at profits, then the scientists say they have to go into the streets. So I'm sorry to...
Yeah, I think he's right. South Park admitted former VP Al Gore was correct and apologized. That's true. I remember that. That was a while ago, wasn't it? But wouldn't people want better choices or opportunities that will give them a better outcome? Yeah, that's the whole point of democracy, right? The whole point of democracy is to have more choice, is to have, well, more free will. The whole point of democracy is to have a voice. Is to increase the opportunities for better outcomes. Because as a collective, you tend to want what's best. The more people work together, the better it is. It just feels like that's right.
Get all hot and charged up about this.
I think everyone appreciates it.
But yes, what the IPCC report, I mean, it's an asymptotic curve that gets closer and closer to absolute panic, okay? And all the reports are very similar. This is real. Voltaire once said, if you can convince people of absurdities, you can convince them to commit atrocities. We are seeing that in Ukraine today. We are seeing that on a global basis with this reckless indifference to the future of humanity. What will we say to the next generations when they look back and see you had the chance to do this?
I've said that before. Like, how are you going to explain to them when the future generations look back and see the indecisions, the lack of willingness to address a problem that they had the means to address? How will they look back at us? Not good. Not good.
We have the means. The International Energy Agency says that in order to cut emissions by 50% in 2030, we have all of the technologies we need, fully developed, with deployment plans that have been proven to work. For the next 50% between 2030 and 2050, all of the technologies are in various stages of development. They can be ready if we decide to.
Democracy definitely gives more voices to more people, but I guess sometimes those voices can be ones we maybe would have preferred stayed quiet. Definitely democracies perform better in terms of equality across the board, but the question is then, are they more equal because of democracy? Are they more democratic because of they're wealthier and have the privilege of affording democracy? I do think it's the former, but also it's a diminishing return on the absolute peak. Maybe. I'm not sure. Vote out corrupt politicians and no one is above the law? True. Ideally.
To develop them quickly enough, they will be ready. We have to stop destroying our future. It sounds so simple, but we have to break through this paralysis.
Well, you see, Al Gore, what you didn't consider is that fossil fuel corporations need their profits. Sorry. When politicians get greedy, they get corrupted. Yeah, but they're only corrupted because, well, there's a incentive for corruption because of, well, and this is true, in my opinion, a piece of that is capitalism. Democracies are easily subverted by bad actors if people are apathetic. Yes, so 3 tenets of a healthier democracy, of a healthy-ish democracy, as healthy as it can be, are strong institutions, meaning institutions need to function as sold. We need transparency. Information. Information is absolutely key. Transparency. And inclusivity, meaning people need to participate. People need to be incentivized to participate. That's how this works. 3 things. Strong institutions, transparency, and inclusivity. I've said this before, and I still stand by that. If money wasn't a thing, we would be dealing with this. We wouldn't be dealing with this problem at all. Yeah, well, you know. Gates, MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Trump should have been barred from political office already. Yeah. If we don't have money, it would turn the currency of products and services in society instead of money. Yeah, but there are some ways better than others, right? I mean, the only argument I think for money is that it makes things easier, I think. But I don't know. I don't know if it's like a requirement.
Have to break through this paralysis, ladies and gentlemen. Al Gore.
I have one other thing to say.
Oh, sure.
And I've said this before. Do not give up hope. And remember always that political will is itself a renewable resource. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Al.
Thank you.
Learning how
Interesting.
to effectively share your best ideas
Oi.
creates.
All right. Okay. I don't know if we have time to go through this. We might have to go through this tomorrow. Just side note, unbelievable the fact that we have a Democratic candidate who is pro forced birth. Unbelievable. Unbelievable that it is even this close. Political will is a renewable resource is a great line. Yep. Speaking, that made me feel better. Speaking on America, the democracy is definitely under quite a number of stresses that are hard to overcome. That is a very nice way of putting it. That is a very lukewarm, way of assessing the situation there. But yeah, I think you're correct. Partisanship is one of the biggest ones, with both sides drifting ever apart. The other one is executive aggrandizement, which is worsened by partisanship when people get desperate for change rather than compromise. Yeah, it just depends on like what you're trying to compromise with, right? I mean, like, it just depends, because like if you have a person who's coming up to you and saying like, yeah, we need to just completely disregard like civil civil rights, no. No. Or if you're like out there trying to like be like, well, let's see how many hoops we have to put for like voting or anything like that. Like I don't know if we can. I don't know about that. I'm not comfortable with giving any ground on that. Like we can have compromises in sense of like, all right, so how do you want to deploy a better like policy for X, Y, and Z? Like how do we deploy better policies for healthcare? How do we deploy like what do we do with student debt? What do we do with student debt? How much can we eliminate? Can we do it now? Can we do it within a period of 5 years? Can we do it in 2 years? How much? Can we do it all? I don't know. Compromise on like how much, budget spending do we really need for the military? Well, the idea of compromise becomes difficult in an era of partisanship. If someone is saying we should have some healthcare and other people are saying doctors are killing our babies with vaccines, and it's kind of hard to find a middle ground, even though one side seems very moderate. While the other seems in like in a completely alternate universe. Like, how do you compromise with that? It's like I can't really square that circle, you know? Like I can't follow you into an alternate reality that doesn't exist, right? I can't follow you into like the idea that doctors are literally killing babies with vaccines. I just can't follow that person. They're just not in this level. They're just not living in this reality. I can't. That being said, I do think that compromising is very difficult when you've got like these setups, you know? Anyways, DLDR, it's unbelievable that we have a pro-forced birth Democrat. It's such a close runoff. I really hope that this dude loses. I really hope this guy loses. I don't see it as partisanship, as rather a legit attack from Christians on our country and the enforcement of their version. Yeah, I think it's like, again, I can't follow you into that reality. If you think that like there's literally people like murdering like real life babies, like dude, that's not no, I can't follow that, and I can't like cede ground on the idea of even limiting the right to bodily autonomy and self-determination. I just can't cede any ground to that. There's no compromising with that. Like the idea of Roe v. Wade was the compromise. That was the compromise. That was what happened when people got together and said, all right, this is the things that we're going to establish, and everybody agreed to it. That's why it was set as precedent. So yeah, just to go back to your comment, Roe v. Wade was the compromise. And my question is, well, in order for compromises to happen, well, there are certain things that are going to have to give, right? But unfortunately, yeah, hyper partisanship is only getting worse simply because, well, I mean, like, how do you compromise? Um, how do you compromise, or when you talk to somebody from the other side and they come at you with like some QAnon shit, what do you do? The majority of the country agrees that Roe v. Wade wants that law to stay in place. Correct. That was the compromise. The majority of people agreed that this is fine. In northwestern Mexico, so to highlight some based indigenous knowledge that we should take notes from, blue corn, and this is thanks to Darknet posting it on the Discord. Blue corn and melons meet the seed keepers reviving the ancient resilient crops. In northwestern New Mexico, traditional indigenous farming methods are being passed down to protect against the effects of the climate crisis. On a windy day in Acoma Pueblo, in northwestern New Mexico, Aaron Loden knelt beside a field near the San Jose River, the tribe's primary irrigator for centuries. The soil has been building up, said Loden, an indigenous seed keeper and farmer, pushing his hand into the soft dark dirt at the base of a stalk that dried Acoma blue corn. In the summer, this otherwise dry stretch of land turns into a food forest, said Loden, pulling up a photo on his phone showing lush rows of corn intercropped with Hopi yellow beans and Acoma winter squash, the three sisters of Pueblo agriculture. On the edge of the field are giant heirloom sunflowers used to attract pollinators and rows of amaranth. By companion cropping, you're replicating those systems you see in nature, said Loden, describing the traditional indigenous practice of interplanting crops to deter weeds, pests, and maintain moisture and enrich the soil. This is thousands of years of knowledge passed down. For the past decade, Loden, 34, has worked to restore traditional crops and farming practices in Acoma. As program director for Ancestral Lands, a nonprofit that supports land stewardship in indigenous communities, he reintroduced traditional Acoma crops into the community and created a bank of 57 arid-adapted seeds native to the region. His work is part of a broader movement to build food and seed sovereignty on tribal lands amid staggering global biodiversity losses created by modern agricultural systems and growing food insecurities caused by the climate crisis. True. Based. Yes. Maple Leaf Dragon. One of the biggest missing elements that's missing from the U.S. is a well-informed public. The media succumb to profit motive, capitalism, with private businesses and political parties to give us a system that we have now where voters are treated as consumers of products and rhetoric. True. Which goes to tie into the whole previous conversation to James's point. And then to add an addendum to that, part of the three things that I talked about for a healthy democracy are strong institutions, transparency. In other words, people need to know what the heck is going on. And inclusivity. People need to participate. Most people feel apathetic. Most people feel like this isn't working because it isn't. That is why many of us turn to alternative ways of getting our news. Hi, Twitch. Hello. Hi. Howdy. But also, that also has a bad, flip of a bad coin because, we got people like Tim Pool,
Over this.
I thought Tim Pool was just YouTube. I mean, he's not. I mean, he is on YouTube, but it's not just YouTube. That guy is literally the biggest political commentator online. He's been on Fox several times. Yes, you are. We have to seek our news out. The show Newsroom discusses this topic so well. Hopi elders gave Gabe Howarth blue corn seeds in late 1970s to grow out for world consumption 40 years ago. As instructed, we grew seed stocks for massive farming, which is why we have blue corn chips everywhere now. Nice. Oregon, Colorado, New Mexico. Cool. Interesting. I never listened to that guy referring to Tim Pool. Trust me, you're not missing anything. I went to go check his channel to see if there was any recent videos on Civil War. No. Just conspiratorial nonsense about Bill Gates and whatever. It's so important that we can bring back our seed diversity. That is so true. Loden, speaking of inside the Ancestral Lands office in Acoma, a few doors down from the seed bank. Stop monocropping and bring these resilient seeds home. True. According to the UN, 75% of crop diversity has been lost over the past century as farmers abandoned numerous local varieties of crops for high-yield monocultures. Why is this bullying? Okay. For high-yield monocultures that are often shoehorned into environments they are poorly adapted to. The Hopi, a sovereign nation in northeastern Arizona, have been practicing resilient methods of farming for years. The Hopi is one of the only places... advertising, stop it. Have been practicing resilient methods of farming for years. Hopi is one of the only places I know that corn is made to fit the environment, not the environment manipulated to fit the corn. Wow, that is really cool. Dr. Michael Katatwa Johnson, a Hopi dryland farmer, an academic from Arizona who relies on passive rain harvesting and drought-resistant seeds to sustain crops. In agriculture across the world, you could argue that the fundamental problem is remaking the environment to fit products. The industrialized food system has failed us. True. We need to restore our food system and that ecological knowledge that has supported us since the beginning. True. That's right. They made a mention of that, Siscat. I do the concept of Crowder when he set up Change My Mind onto universities, found that pretty cool. Yeah, except like Crowder's an absolute clown. Yes, me, a media personality who gets all his talking points in line, makes sure that he has got a whole production crew, everything behind him, got all the info on hand. Let me just go like ambush some college students. Yeah, why don't you debate somebody who actually knows what they're talking about? Yeah, and Fu Manchu is correct. Let's just take aside the fact of Crowder's like overt racism, but like the whole concept is just like cringe. It was a cool idea. I mean, like, why doesn't he debate like an actual why doesn't he debate like political people who know what they're talking about instead of ambushing college students and making them look bad? Because, you know, and make sure you cut out the clips that make Crowder look bad. That's also too. And make sure you cut out the clips that make Crowder look bad. Right, but you're not dealing with a good faith person. Failed comedian's gonna fail? True. Comedian. That ecological knowledge stretches back millennia in Southwest, where farming began as early as 2000 BC. For Loudon, Acoma, the oldest continually inhabited community in North America, is a model of resilience, a community with a holistic, reciprocal, and self-sustaining food system. Damn, this is so based. Superbly adapted to the high desert and capable of weathering extreme drought, climate change, and violent intrusion by outsiders. I think they mean invasive species. In Acoma, farming is not a hobby, it's the basis of our culture and survival. Since the arrival of the Spanish, indigenous culture and food systems have been under constant disruption. Roxanne Swensdale, an indigenous seed keeper and sculptor from Santa Clara Pueblo in North Mexico, said the story of Native American amaranth is a case in point. The Spanish wanted indigenous people to grow wheat and made cultivating amaranth illegal. You ask the most of the people what's amaranth, and they don't even have a memory of it. That's wild. And yet it was one of our main crops. This way, so much diversity was lost. That is so effed. That is so effed. I find Twitch to be the same way. Rather, it's a streamer trying to change the mind of viewers and vice versa. Not really, because I don't go around to college students, unprepared college students, and ambush them and then say that I'm trying to have a good faith conversation. And then try to make sure I edit everything, because all of this is live, by the way. And then edit it to make sure that I look good in each clip. I don't think it's analogous whatsoever. Crowder should man up and debate people who know and debate people in politics, not college students. Let's see how he does. Ask yourself, Spaniard, why was Crowder so averse to debating somebody like Sam Cedar? Is it maybe because Crowder actually has no idea, or isn't capable of going past talking points? We passed a county ballot initiative to ban cultivation of GMO crops after we got blue corn and amaranth seed stock going. Now, no potential for cross-pollination with nasty GMO. Nice, cool. I want to know who gardens as a hobby. We go to cut down costs of our food bill and keep our kids healthy. It's not a hobby, but a necessity. True. Oh no, Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare. I never watch Outside Change My Mind. Man. If you did, Crowder would look so cringe to you. And even then, the concept is just cringe. Seed diversity in agriculture knowledge in Acomas in many communities declined as we shifted from economies of care to cash economies reliant on the national food system. True. When Lawden first joined the ancestral lands in 2011, 15 or fewer people in all of Acoma were farming and well over the age of 40. The farmers were not renewing those seeds and propagating them. Though the Ancestral Lands Farm Corp Loudon began to teach Acoma traditional farming methods, seed selection and saving, and food preparation. Since 2020, they've had as many as 65 farmers. Nice! Last October, farm crew members were going to process the fall harvest near the entrance. A group of Acoma youth removed seeds from the heads of the massive sunflowers as a layer of Hopi yellow beans dried on a tarp outside. Heirloom gourds covered one of the corner of the room. Loudon noted that Acoma melons smell like flowers when they're harvested. Nice! And Acoma banana squash, or Tidi Shuko Medani, is named for its elongated shape. That's so cool. Another variety, Northern People Pumpkin, came from seeds saved by Loden's uncle, a traditional Acoma farmer, and one of his first teachers. Nice! He told me those seeds are your children. Once you put them in the ground, you created that life, so you get that responsibility. Nice. I will always teach our young people that everything about our food systems, our way of being, are reciprocal. Nice. I love that concept. Some of the seeds from the harvest will be replanted next season, grown out. Others will be put in the seed bank and made available to Black and Indigenous people of color with guidance on how to grow them and minimize hybridization and cross-pollination based. Most of the varieties of the seed bank in Acoma were rematriated from other seed banks to their communities of origin. If your intention was really to care to take these seeds and maintain biodiversity, then you should put them back in the rightful hands of the people with the know-how. Yeah. Exactly. For Loudon, it is a joyous feeling when a seed variety is returned to the community. It just feels like a relative coming home, said Loudon, who recently took the position of Indigenous Seed Keepers Network Program Coordinator at the Native American Food Sovereignty Alliance, a nonprofit working to revitalize indigenous food systems. That is so cool. One of those rematriated crops is Acoma blue corn, which Loudon planted for the first time in 2020. The kernels, shelled into bright orange Home Depot buckets, ranged in color from blue to deep purple to almost black. Our corn relates to directions and our place in the world. It connects to our culture and songs. Blue corn is crucial is a crucial part of a traditional coma diet. There are so many dishes you could name, listing recipe for blue corn tamales, atole, and parched corn that is kind of like corn nuts. Loden showed a traditional blue corn topping called hiya shruni he made and added a red chili stew and served alongside Hopi yellow beans for the crew's lunch. Dessert was the pumpkin pie made from a coma banana squash. We forget how important food is because it's so accessible to us. I mean, kind of. As he added the light blue corn flour to a cast iron pan on a stove outside the office, the food is accessible to us is bad for our bodies. I think the majority of that is true. After the outbreak of the pandemic, the farm crew built hoop houses, passive solar cold frames with raised beds where elders could grow fresh produce in the spring and winter to help address the food security base. Acoma, like many indigenous communities, is a food desert. The closest thing is McDonald's. Motioning towards a City Sky Casino on Interstate 40, the grocery store is 40 miles to the northeast. The lack of access to healthy, affordable food has led to significant health disparities in the indigenous communities, including nutrition-related chronic disease. Yep. In 2015, internationally renowned sculptor Roxanne Swensel started Pueblo Food Experience Project, where for 3 months, participants from Santa Clara Pueblo only eat foods available before European contact to see the potential health benefits. The 14 volunteers had health problems ranging from diabetes to heart disease and cancer. You name it, we had it. A doctor examined the group before and after 3 months. The results of the pre-contact diet was profound. All the different health issues, every single one of them improved. I mean, like, yeah, if you have a obviously if you have a good, healthy, natural diet, yeah, your health is going to improve. Yes. What you put in your body determines how it functions, right? If you put bad food, garbage, then your body's not going to be good. It's not going to be as healthy. Swensel attributes health benefits in part to the coevolution of the people to the foods and animals in the environment. Once I read it takes 20 generations in the same location for species, humans included, to genetically adapt to that environment, wrote Swensel in the Pueblo Food Experience cookbook she published in 2016. If we've been in a place without moving for 20 generations, eating the plants and animals that have been there for more than 20 generations, then everything really starts to align. Most of these older varieties have proven to be superior in nutrition, less water demanding, and adaptable to climate, which is unbelievably necessary. The more we're using, and one of the founders of Traditional Native American Farmers Association, said Clayton Brusco, a Mohawk traditional farmer, seed saver, and one of the founders of TNAFA, the more we're using those varieties, the better off we will be. Our farming is based on survival. Climate-resilient crops and water-conserving farming techniques could be critical amid growing heat, drought, and water scarcity in the Southwest. That's one of the biggest things, said Loden. Traditional farming in Acoma, I feel it can be your biggest response to climate change. It's definitely necessary, I think. Unlike most conventional farms, a field in Acoma is irrigated only twice a month and not at all if it rains. We wait until the corn kind of shows us when it really needs water. The Acoma varieties thrive. We always get something nice. In 2016, the Ancestral Land Farm Corps planted a dryland field once widely practiced in Acoma. This form of planting uses passive rainwater harvesting to sustain superbly arid-adapted crops. We had 3 successful harvests. It was almost an extinct practice. Wow. Our agricultural techniques are designed to preserve soil moisture, said Michael Kotutwa, standing outside his house near the town of Kyotsmovi in northeast Arizona. I think one of the biggest differences between traditional agriculture and conventional agriculture is that ours is based upon survival. That is so cool. I think that is definitely necessary to learn. The body can heal itself if you feed it properly. True. You get what you put in, right? Alright, folks, unfortunately, that is all the time I have today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out today. I appreciate that. Sorry for the late start. Yeah, it's kind of wild how capitalism incentivizes us to ignore people with the knowledge, with the know-how who can help us be more food secure. It's almost like capitalism sucks or something. Yeah, because profit above everything, up to and including human health. So, yeah, no surprise there, Fu Manchu. Anyways, I appreciate all of you guys hanging out. Thank you, Spread It Forward. I appreciate it. Thank you, folks, for all the follows, for all the support. Mayhem Hippie with the 100 biddies. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you for your time. You have a good one. You have a good one. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for all the articles and stuff that you guys shared. I will try to get to some of it tomorrow as well. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I'll be on. I hope to see you guys in the next one. See ya. Hang tight, folks. You take care. You have a good one. We haven't seen Idan in a while. Alright, go show them some love, alright? Folks, we are heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya.